This is kind of a fascinating story. Did this come out first?
Actually, this is the one, Jody, I wrote maybe 30 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, and put it aside and, went on with my fascinating life. And then when I retired, I decided to pick up my writing, as I said. So this was a very interesting situation because I started it when I was maybe in my 30s, went through all the women's movement rights, and came back to it in my 70s. So that it was a collaboration between my young self and my historical older self. And it's the story of a girl in a Victorian small community, which I chose because I wanted that sort of petri dish experience where you take a period of the Victorian world where women weren't even anything but property in a small community. The girl is very talented and she's repressed all around her.
So if you set this aside for 20 years and you went back through the manuscript, did you change it?
Oh, yes.
And was your perspective different, or did you just have a whole new way for her to be in the world? How did you do it? How did you reconcile it?
Well, because I went through the women's movement, there was a time, Jody, I think you're not my age, but you can remember when...
I'm a geezer.
Well, me too, and God love us, we're going to keep this world straight.
I'm a geezer boomer.
Well, there was a time when there were jobs for men and jobs for women, and you couldn't apply for a man's job. I don't care if it was a typist or filing. If it was a man's job as a woman, you couldn't do it. And I remember trying to apply for some of these jobs and couldn't understand why I wouldn't be granted it. So I became very involved in the women's movement. So in answer to your question, having gone through all that anger and repression, what I thought was maybe just a romantic novel, I really began to see what her anger should be, what her frustration should be, and what would be the sticking points in her life. So yeah, my maturity really helped make it a book that I think has a little more bite.
Yeah, so where can people buy your books? Where do you...
Well, of course, I recommend Amazon and Barnes & Noble because it's the easiest. But particularly Heartland does have a good distribution, even though the company's in England. And most of you can order from a local bookstore. I think you can order both of them, the distribution, but the quickest way is going to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and then they can read some reviews of other people and decide whether these are books they're interested in.